Across Africa, few animals are as enchanting and as captivating as the cheetah. Its legend has been woven in our artworks and stories for thousands of years. From the ancient Egyptians to young children today fascinated by the idea of the fastest land animal on earth. Masters of speed, there is an elegance and grace to their movement. They are part of the very fabric of the Masai Mara and an icon of the plains. They may also be the last of their kind here. In the past, cheetahs were widely distributed across Africa. However, as human endeavors have increased, loss of habitat together with conflict with humans and mass tourism have greatly reduced their numbers. In the last century alone, the wild cheetah population has fallen from over 100,000 to just 7,000 individuals. And almost all of these are found in southern and eastern Africa. The Masai Mara in Kenya is one of the cheetah's last remaining strongholds. Yet even here, they are in decline. Cheetahs here have to coexist with their natural enemies, while at the same time have to find their niche in an area crossed by hundreds of vehicles in search of these magnificent animals.
The Masai Mara is a great area for cheetahs. So there's a lot of prey, and then there's really good habitat for cheetahs. They both need open and closed habitat, and you find a good variety of both here in the Mara.
Cheetahs for me are a really special species. For some reason, ever since I was a kid, I just really enjoyed them. I find it really fascinating just how specialized they are in one aspect, and that being running really fast, and how they have to kind of adapt in order to fit that one aspect into a landscape with so many other carnivores and so many other just challenges for them to survive.
What I love about cheetahs is actually I love to see when they are hunting. Seeing a cheetah running is something that I love watching. It's magnificent.
I like cheetahs because they are so social and they are not so aggressive. They are so beautiful animals.
While a lot of people call them a big cat, they're kind of on that kind of that range. They're the smallest of the big cats, and that means that they have a lot of competition with other carnivores such as lions, hyenas, leopards. You know, kind of anything else out here that's bigger than them is going to compete with them.
So the vulnerability of cheetahs in the Mara is mainly the number of hyenas going up.
There's a high density of lions in the Mara and hyena, and they pose a threat to especially the cubs. So they do kill a lot of cubs, but besides the direct killing of cubs, there's also the indirect effect. So yeah, when the mother hunts successfully, often they are sniffed out by hyenas and then lions, and then they steal the prey. So they don't have enough to eat, and then the mother has to spend energy hunting again. Jackals and vultures will also sniff out or see the carcass before lions and hyenas sometimes, but that them being there will attract lions and hyenas.
Despite what many may believe, the successful raising of cheetah cubs is nothing short of a triumph. This tiny, fragile being signifies the continuation of a species that has roamed these plains for thousands of years. Yet the journey to adulthood is fraught with danger. Cheetah mothers usually fail to raise their first litter, and to be successful, they need experience, which can often take up to 6 years to acquire. Even experience is no guarantee of success. In the last 6 months, experienced cheetah, Neema, has lost 2 consecutive sets of litters without any cubs making it out of the den. She last raised cubs to independence 2 years ago during the pandemic, when tourists were few. And while the loss of a litter is a natural learning curve for cheetah mothers, repeated loss signifies that there is more to the issue than simple lack of experience. It points to something else. something introduced, something that cheetahs are not equipped to deal with.
So cheetahs are very vulnerable, especially when they're very young. And if you have a lot of vehicles around the den and the mother leaves to go hunting, that could potentially, and we think it does, attract lions and hyenas. And then they come and they sniff out the cubs and then they will kill the cubs. But there's a reason why cheetahs give birth up to 8 cubs, is to take into account for the ones they lose to, for example, lions and hyenas. But when you add the human aspect into it, you increase the risk for the cubs. And then 8 cubs might not be enough because you lose the lions and hyenas, but then they can also lose to disturbance by tourism. In the conservancies, you have fewer cars, more control, better managed, more regulations. So the mother will have a higher chance of actually protecting the cubs by the den.
And it is not only at dens where mass tourism is having a detrimental effect.
In cases like in the National Reserve that we have seen, I don't really want to talk negative, but you'll find that a cheetah hunts and 50 cars surround a cheetah, and we have seen the clips.
If the cheetah manages to take down the prey vehicles, they can then block the view from incoming predators. Then it might be too late for the cheetah, or if she has cubs, to get away.
People should be responsible. People should behave. Guides should be told on how to handle sightings. You don't have to drive very fast towards a sighting. You don't have to crowd. In conservancies, because of less cars, we'll always open up. When we see a cheetah is interested to hunt, we position ourselves. We open up and give distance, because cheetah will chase a prey for something like 200, 300 meters. So everyone will have a chance to see the hunt.
20 years ago, the total number of tourism camps in the Mara was in the 20s. Now it's over 200. The density of tourists is growing, and it has come swiftly. Do we leave cheetahs to their fate? Do we let them face this threat alone? Or is there another way? As the moon sets over the plains of Olare Motorogi and Naibosho Conservancy, and lights begin to fill the eastern sky, cheetah mother Nashipai and Namunyak watch over their precious brood. They have been awake all night guarding and protecting their cubs from threats. For young mother Namunyak, this is her first litter, and her cubs are now 2.5 months old. Nashipai is older, and this is her second litter. Her 4 cubs are a few weeks older than Namunyak. They have both done remarkably well to raise their litter this far. They are not alone. A dedicated team of rangers watch over them every day. From sunrise to sunset, they guard them, protect them, and ensure that they are able to get the sleep they need during the day, for they cannot protect them at night. And night is when their enemies are most active. A new day dawns in Naibosho Conservancy, and despite an early start by the rangers, Namunyak is missing. In the late evening yesterday, after a successful hunt in the rain, she was already saved from a herd of buffaloes. The rain reduced the scent of the kill, initially masking it from hyenas, but as darkness falls and the rain eases, the chances of discovery are heightened. This morning, the carcass is surrounded by hyenas cackling and whooping in delight, and she is missing. Throughout the day, the rangers search, and as late afternoon arrives, this is the longest she has ever been without protection.
So I actually appreciate that when a cheetah has young ones, there's need for rangers, and rangers has actually rise up and together with guides. Like, it's not good to interfere with nature, but sometimes because of we don't want to lose these animals. When a mother with young ones hunts something like a Thompson gazelles, we always try to protect it so that it can actually feed, and especially if she got young ones.
Namnya gave birth early September. We in Naibosho, we monitor her in the den until she came out with cubs. The main reason why we monitor her, the number of cheetahs is really decreasing in the whole world. Their number is really going down, and the cubs are very vulnerable. When intervene Namnyak, we monitor her, protecting against the lions, against the hyenas and other predators.
We don't know the number of cheetahs that we have at the moment, so we really need the number of cheetahs to come up.
The next morning, word arrived from an adjacent conservancy. Despite the high flood waters of the river, Namunyak has crossed into neighboring Olkinye. Her fate is now out of Naibosho Rangers' hands. For nearly 3 months, they have watched over and protected her and her family. But now she's out of their jurisdiction and she is on her own. Cheetahs are not territorial. Instead, they have home ranges, large areas that they routinely move through but do not defend. And within each range, cheetah know and understand the best areas to hunt. Then, where safety can be found and where danger lies. It is important for mother cheetahs to pass this knowledge on to their cubs, and Namunyak has decided that at 3 months old, her cubs are now ready to discover more of the world they inhabit. But as with any change, it brings uncertainty. She has not ventured far for months now. She does not know where lion prides may have moved to. She also does not know that it is school holiday and that many more people will be moving in from the surrounding communities, bringing their herds of cattle, sheep, and goats.
So I started coming to the Masai Mara for my master's, learning how to map distributions of cheetahs and livestock. So what most of my research is actually showing is that when cow or livestock interact with cheetahs, we're seeing actually a really short-term behavioral response. And the cheetahs don't necessarily move, so they're not necessarily deterred or moving away from them quickly. Instead, they seem to kind of be increasing that stress, increasing their vigilance in order to avoid interactions on that immediate basis. If cheetahs are only interacting with livestock, a few times a day, that interaction and that increase in stress probably isn't going to have a lot of negative impacts. But if we start to see a high frequency of interactions, we could start to see negative impacts that kind of cascade through the system. They have to be more vigilant more often, and therefore they may have less opportunities to hunt because they have to kind of keep avoiding livestock throughout the day. And then that means they might have to hunt a little bit more at night, and that could potentially increase that interaction with larger carnivores.
Hunting near villages is something that cheetahs here are having to adapt to. In Olare Motorogi this morning, Nashipai has made a kill on the border of the conservancy. She hasn't fed for several days due to lions being nearby, and so she has hunkered down, weathering storms and maintaining a low profile. It is hard enough for cheetahs to hunt as it is, where every successful kill is potential food for other predators and danger for the cubs. Where at any second the smell of their carcass can attract enemies, and where even being spotted by jackals will force the family to flee lest it attracts large, more dangerous foes. They need freedom to hunt, free from vehicles hounding their every move, free to see and assess potential threats, and free to cool down and feed in peace, especially when nurturing a young family. These conservancies are an incredible successful conservation story, offering areas free from mass tourism but still preserving and expanding wild spaces. This, together with continual betterment of local community, creates a direct mutual benefit to both the community and the wildlife, ensuring that the local Maasai can protect their heritage while reaping the rewards of ecotourism. Similarly, wildlife benefits from the protection afforded them through the reduction of human-wildlife conflict and community buy-in.
Conservancies, it's a benefit to the local people.
And generally, they are kind of defined by the aspect of private landowners actually own the land that are part of a conservancy, and they lease their land in some way or form to a management company or organization that protects that land both for the wildlife, which means they bring in wildlife tourism, maintain wildlife populations, but also allow some form or some level of livestock grazing.
Let's talk, for example, Mara North, 500 members or 700, 800 members are benefiting directly from, conservation.
A week after leaving Naibosho, worrying news arrived this morning from Olkinyei. Guides and guests left Namunyak the previous evening eating in the bush. And now guides can see only one lone cub. No sign of Namunyak and the other four. By late afternoon, the area is riddled with herds and cattle. The guides attempt to move them away, but in the chaos and noise, the lone cub disappears. Days pass and still there is no sign. Naibosho rangers are searching all along the border between the conservancy, but she appears to have vanished, her, the four cubs, as well as the lone fifth. Troublingly, within the same period, an elephant has been found dead outside the conservancy, with both tusks still intact but all the meat taken. And a few days later, a dead giraffe is found with only the skeleton remaining. Killing wildlife for any reason is outlawed in Kenya. There is no hunting and no sale of game meat, yet bushmeat is still found in some communities, and this does not bode well for Namunyak. Almost a week since she was last seen, Namnyak reappears far to the north near community villages. Miraculously, she has all 5 with her. Rangers are able now to remain with her and track her as she heads back toward Naivasha. Her circuit through her eastern range nearly complete. It is an intervention, but cheetah conservation is something worth intervening for. Without this intervention, cheetahs will not survive. Detailed modeling suggests that the African cheetah population will decline by between 50 and 70% over the next 15 years. With less than a third of the population resident in protected areas, even where growth rate in this area is high, it merely slows the rate of decline. And there is real-world evidence for this. In Zimbabwe, where cheetah distribution is relatively well known, in the last 16 years between 1999 and 2015, the cheetah population has declined by 85%. This is largely due to the disappearance of cheetah outside of protected areas. Ongoing and rapid change is likely across the African continent because of changes in land tenure, large-scale fencing, land grabs, and political instability. But there is hope. Dedicated researchers like Neil and Brian, together with conservationists and community members, are working tirelessly to save these incredible animals. And creating areas that are protected where cheetah and other wildlife can roam freely is paramount. Community buy-in is essential to forming conservancy. In the last decade, the number of conservancies has more than doubled from 8 to 22. The total area under conservation has increased to 1,600 square kilometers. The total land conserved under the conservancy model is now the same as the National Reserve, in effect, doubling the conservation area of the Masai Mara. All of this is helping 15,700 individual landowners. And through helping local communities, together with this model for responsible tourism, there is hope for these cats. By spreading awareness, creating new conservancies and protected areas, we can ensure a future where cheetah continue to grace the Masai Mara and Africa with their presence. Nature is powerful and it's resilient. And with the right support and understanding, it will flourish. These elegant predators, hemmed in all sides and facing challenges the likes of which they have never before encountered and are not evolved to face, are in a race against time. But it is a race that can be won. The species is on the brink. The population may stand on a knife's edge. But this will not be the last cheetahs.